Origi!
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. Dave and the boys will be back after the Villa game, so until then, we'll catch you soon. Dave, we've just lost 2-0 in the League Cup.
We might not be.
This might be the last one. Yeah. Savour it, folks. The last ever one. My wife just came in and I told her that we were going on the pod, and she shouts, "Did we win?" And she didn't hear Dave cackling in the background and saying, "Did we win?" So yeah, we've just lost 3-0 at Anfield in the League Cup against Palace after what you could only really describe as like a C team. Like if it was like the I'm a Celebrity lineup, you wouldn't be happy with that. You wouldn't be watching it, would you? So as it stands now, the run is 6 defeats in 7 games. We've got inform Aston Villa coming to Anfield next Saturday, and then the small matter of Real Madrid and Man City. Dave, you said just before we came on, it's not that much point reading much into the game, just really the decision to pick the team he did and the inevitable result that followed.
Yeah, what's there even to say about the game? I mean, you can't really look at it and talk about individual performances and what that means moving forward, because probably 3/4 of that team tonight we won't see them again. Not this season anyway.
Ever.
Yeah, well, but definitely not this season, unless he throws the FA Cup as well, which I suppose that's a distinct possibility thinking about it. But in terms of there's no point analysing the goals or anything like that, or anything we did, because I think we had one shot. I can't really remember. Chiesa putting one over, Rio putting one wide. I don't remember anything else. The only thing I would say in terms of performances and all that, I just want to single out Calvin Ramsey, because I thought he was good. He was good. Yeah. He's like the one player who gets it. You know what, lad, you did all right tonight, and everyone else, no. But Calvin Ramsey, good for him. Was that his first game? I think it was, because he was maybe in his first season he might have got.
No, he's been on the field before.
But it just feels like he's been loaned out every season and
or
injured for most of it.
Yeah.
He's only here now because he was injured in the summer and couldn't get loaned out, but took his chance tonight. Apart from 1 or 2 performances from Dom, that's probably the best right back performance we've had all season, which it says a lot.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he was good. He gets a pass for tonight, and nobody else does, including the manager. The only thing that I'll say in terms of the lineup is people who saw that lineup and were really pissed off, then you've got every right to still be really pissed off at the end of the game. People who looked at it and understood the reasoning behind it, and it's all about the Villa game at the weekend and games we've got coming up, Real Madrid, Man City. So if you saw that and thought it's the League Cup, fuck the League Cup, don't care, main thing is getting right for Saturday, then I don't think you can complain about the result tonight. And to be fair, I'd imagine most people who had that attitude before the game are not kicking off about it now.
So where are you at?
I'm somewhere in the middle, because I do see both sides of it. I understand why he did what he did. The only thing I would say is, I think how seriously you're taking a game like this, a lot of it you can tell by the bench. So in picking the team that he picked, okay, I get that. I understand the logic, but to not have 3, maybe 4 senior options who you can bring on if it's bad, I think that just tells you he basically did throw the game. And whether some people will think that's okay, some people won't. I'm not here to tell anyone that they're wrong. You feel how you feel about it. I've got no problem either way. If you want to be mad and say it's a disgrace, I'm not going to argue with that. If you want to say he's done the right thing because it's all about Saturday, that's fine too. And like I say, I'm sort of in the middle. All I would say is that if Saturday does not go well after tonight, after you make that decision tonight and you throw the game tonight, okay. If Saturday does not go well, every bit of stick that comes flying his way, it will be justified. So he's taken that decision. He's put all his eggs in that basket, and hopefully it works out for him and we get a more cohesive performance on Saturday where it looks like we've got something to build on, and it looks like we're on the right track to getting back to some decent level of performance, that because we haven't seen that in weeks now. So I do think Saturday's massive. Saturday's huge.
It's a brave decision in some respects, you could say, because like he's fully conscious of that. Like obviously after a bad result like we had at the weekend, the instinct will be to get over that and have a not so much a quick fix, but just something to make everybody feel a little bit better, right? Like my view on it all is there would have been a comfortable middle ground tonight. Like I don't really have sort of any complaints about fielding a weakened team, but I have complaints about how weak it was. I think we could have come into that game with maybe, as you say, maybe started a couple more people, maybe, or just had a few more options on the bench, because
Vert and Ekitike, have them on the bench if they're not starting.
Well, I just think when it comes down to it, like you have people like one of our favourite listeners of the pod, Mary, and she'd come over for the game tonight as a surprise from her husband, gift. And there'll be loads of people like that.
Arsenal fan, by
excited.
the way.
Sorry?
Her husband's an Arsenal fan, by the way.
He's had a great night.
He's known about the gift in inverted commas.
Well, there'll be loads of people like that. Yeah. And with that being the case, I don't think we should be throwing games at Anfield that 60,000 people have paid to see. And 60,000 people have paid with that in the knowledge that this might have been all that's accessible to them all season because of how difficult it is to get into league games with the memberships and all that kind of stuff. Like getting into a League Cup game is the only option for a lot of people. So I think it's a really bad look to be throwing your hands up, throwing a white flag up before that game even starts. It's a real telling sort of, I think it's telling, it says something about him a little bit. I don't think Klopp didn't do that. So it's, it shows kind of like how single-minded he is and unemotional about this kind of stuff. And I don't know, I don't think that's a way to endear yourself to the fan base for a start. Just think this reminded me of, I think this is his version of Hodgson's Northampton game, right? On a bad run, made 11 changes, Hodgson did, 10 made tonight, and then ceremoniously dumped out of the cup, right? But you could have assumed with that game that making 11 changes against Northampton, you still might have enough to get through that game. Like it was kind of unforgivable.
Yeah, he didn't throw the game. We were just shit.
Yeah, he didn't. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They were just, that fucking bad. And I just think that the optics of it are terrible. It gives, and he won't care about this. And if he can shut out that noise, and if the players can shut out that noise, I don't think they can. And there's any evidence that they're shutting out any of the noise because they look badly rattled at the moment, all of them. But the run's now 6 defeats in 7 games. It just keeps that narrative going and going and going. And now you're under even more pressure coming into that game at the weekend, which, as you say, you have to win that game, or at least not get beat, or at least put a performance in and at least look half decent. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it all comes down to what happens against Villa now, but in terms of like getting a result for feel good and all that, I think I would sort of dismiss that just because we had that last week, and where did it get us? We had the Frankfurt win, like good performance, scored 5 goals away from home. Ultimately, we said after that pod, this means nothing really because the real test is Brentford, and we failed it. So again, even if we'd put like a slightly stronger team out tonight and somehow managed to get through, there would have been like a little bit of feel good on the night, and especially for the fans who were there, and like Brownie, for example. Brownie had like a 4-hour drive to get there tonight. Traffic was bad. Took him 4 hours to get there, and then he has to sit through that, and then he's got to drive all the way back again tonight. It's like, and there's loads of people in that situation. Like, you mentioned Marion, and yeah, I totally agree. It's like, for those people, they've got every right to be massively pissed off about it. And like I say, to me, there's no right or wrong. You feel what you want to feel, and I don't think anyone's out of order to be like furious or to be saying it's okay. Whatever you think is fine. It all comes down to what we do on Saturday now, because like I say, that team that's played tonight, you can't, I know technically it's another defeat in the run, but it almost isn't, because it's not a Liverpool team. It was just, I mean, I don't even know what it was. It was like, it was such a like unbalanced, and apart from the fact, let's not forget, he's just throwing out a new formation just out of nowhere. He's just plucked 3 at the back out of his arse.
Do you think that's more just because of the personnel he had available and just thought, well, how can I get all of these players on the pitch in any formation whatsoever? Or is there more to be read into it?
No, I think there's more to be read into it. Or just because he could quite easily have gone with a back 4. Like he could have played Robbo in a centre back, or he could have. I was surprised that he played Robbo and Kirkes in the same team, because one of them is going to be playing at the weekend. So that was a little bit surprising, but he could.
We know which one.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
Kirkes is going to be playing at the weekend.
But Robbo did come off early and Kirkes didn't, so who knows about that. And it's not like Kirkes had a particularly good game either. Not that Robbo did either, but I think of the two, Robbo was probably marginally better. But maybe it was just a case of going like for like with Palace. Palace have given us all sorts of problems, and maybe he's thought it's a weakened team. Let's just try to like match their shape and try something a bit different. But it doesn't mean anything. I don't think it means we're going to be playing like 3 centre backs moving forward, because we haven't really got 3 centre backs, because he clearly doesn't want to pick Joe Gomez. So. Unless you're putting Robbo in the back 3 again, which nobody really wants to see that either. It's just the only thing you can say about not putting anyone even on the bench is that he's done what, like I speculated in the last pod. Like, is this an option that he might just say, nobody's involved in that game, and I'm working with the first team on like tactics and getting them drilled and improve the things that need to be improved and all that, because he doesn't really get a full week to do stuff like this because of midweek games, and he's taken the decision to just completely sacrifice this game, not involve anybody other than either Kirkes or Robbo. One of them's going to start at the weekend. Nobody else who's in the team tonight is going to start at the weekend. So he's going to be working with the team the whole week, you'd imagine. Otherwise, what's the point in doing that tonight? It's got to be, the focus has got to be working with the first team all week in training, getting them right up for it, organised, whatever like tactical drills you need to be doing. Do all of that, get it all done this week, and we need to see it on Saturday. We need to see something. We've got to see like just improvement. I mean, ideally, you want to see a win, but I wouldn't say more importantly, because the run we're in, you'd take a scrappy win, but we do need to see improvements in performance, because sometimes you'll get a win when you've not played well, and sometimes you'll play well and lose, but more often than not the performance will be reflected in the result. There's outliers to it, obviously, but more often than not, if you're playing well, results are going to follow. So you've got to get the performances going in the right direction, and we're just not seeing that. So that's why, again, Saturday's massive, and if it doesn't go well on Saturday, then all the people who are absolutely furious tonight have got every right to be doubly furious on Saturday. It's like, well, you fucking threw that game tonight for what? For us to just go and not beat Villa anyway. So it's a huge game. And you know what, I was just thinking before we came on how absolutely mad this situation that we're in, because like this is like a manager who a few months ago was he was celebrating like winning the league in his first season, and now there are people saying he needs to go. I'm not saying it's a majority of people, but we're all in group chats with people we all know. There's people in different group chats. I'm not singling anyone out or throwing anyone under the bus. If any of the lads on the pod who feel that way, they can come on and say it. I'm not going to be it's tree of trust and all that. I'm not coming on saying, well, he said this and he said that. But not even just in that chat, in other group chats and just other people who you talk to, there are people saying he's got to go. And it's wild to think that we're in this position right now. And, I'm not in that situation yet, but I'm not saying to people, don't be stupid either. Again, I just think it's not so much. I think the problem that people have got, it's not so much that he's done enough now to deserve to be sacked. It's not that. It's not like sack him because we've had this bad run of games. The people who are thinking that is because they think this is the beginning of the end now, and you don't turn it round when it's like this. There's nothing that they're seeing to make them think it's going to get turned around. Because a lot of the time, when it gets away from a manager, they just don't get it back. I don't think we're at that point yet.
It's rare that they do, isn't it?
It
it's
is rare,
that
yeah.
They do get
it
it back,
is.
especially after this, like six defeats. So you can discount tonight, or you can not discount tonight. It's up to you. But like, it is 6 defeats in 7 games, and that's a run for most managers that would have them in the shit. If you take the context of him winning the league out of it, which I don't think you can.
No, he deserves like a lot of goodwill because of that, and benefit of the doubt and all that stuff. But if people don't believe he's going to turn it around, they're entitled to think that way. You know, I can't like say, well, no, you're wrong because this, and this. I'm not saying it's
you're
right.
You're not convinced either, right?
You're
not convinced, are you?
I'm not convinced, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just. Yeah. It's too early. We need to see how it plays out. You could get like a couple of wins, and then, you know, some of the newer players start to bed in a little bit and feel more comfortable. Isak finally gets himself fit. Maybe he starts scoring some goals. Mo remembers how to play football, and all of a sudden this looks different. It might not be great, and it might not be exactly how good we want it to be, but it will look different to what it looks now. Like, now it looks terrible, but it can't carry on like as badly as this. This is where like someone's in the head, they've got the Mick McCarthy thing. It can. Anytime. I've just posted that on the forum. Really, I've literally just done that before it came on. Someone had said this can't carry on. But do you know what I mean? It's like, as bad as this is not. It's not going to be like this for the rest of the season. You know, we're in a really bad run. We will get out of it. Now, how well we will play after that remains to be seen, but it's not going to stay this bad. But that's only scant consolation if we only get like a little bit better. But you've just got to keep telling yourself, well, we've got all of these new players who we all think on paper, these are all really talented players who've come in. It should not be like this. And eventually it should get better with time. Now, I do think part of the issue is because we're playing like weekends, midweek. It's really hard to be getting that time on a training pitch to do what you need to do. And I don't think that's helping, but that's the job. You know, if you're a manager of like a top club that's competing in Europe as well as domestically, well, that's how it is. So, you know, that then it comes down to, well, have you changed too much too soon? But that's not just a Slot thing. If you're going to start like throwing that accusation around, which is, you know, probably fair, but you've also got to be pointing the finger upstairs, because it's not just Slot on a whim decided I want to get rid of half the team and bring in all these new players. No, it was a collective thing. They all wanted to build their own team. You know, Edwards, Hughes, Slot, they wanted to build their team, and that's what they'll be judged on ultimately. But obviously it is too soon to be making that judgment.
Do you think, honestly, now, do you think this time next year he'll still be our manager?
No. If you put a gun to my head and I've got to give an answer, yes or no, I would say no. And I think anybody who says yes, I don't know what like you're basing it on really, other than like blind faith. And this is not like me having a massive downer on Slot and wanting them out.
I understand. Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, but there'll be people listening who might take it that way. It isn't. But like, well, everyone listening, ask yourself the same question. Do you think this time next year he is still going to be in charge? And if so, then feel free to let us know why you think that. I think like, and I'm not saying that as like 100%, but if I've got to go one way or another, that's the way I would go at this point. I don't know how you can really think anything else in the situation that we're in. Now, ask me again in a few weeks, and hopefully I'll have a different answer.
Sure. You can base it on what you're seeing.
But like Villa, Real Madrid, Man City, I don't necessarily think it's going to get any better. It's a tough couple of weeks we've got.
And I mean, in that context, I was thinking about the team that Arsenal picked tonight. On paper, they were two extremely similar games, right? Palace at home, Brighton at home. Like much of a muchness there, I think you'd say. Like Palace is probably just about a tougher opponent for us, I'd say, than Brighton are for Arsenal. But two really handy, like, teams that are fighting for Europe, okay? fully capable of doing damage to any team in the league. So tough games, but this is the team that Arsenal picked. Kepa, Lewis Skelly, Hincapi, don't know how to pronounce his name. Gabriel came on for him. Mosquera, Ben Scheidt, Marino, Norgard, who's like a handy Premier League midfielder. Nwaneri, Eze, some guy called Harriman Anus I've never heard of. Declan Rice came on for him. And then Max Diamond and Saka came on for him. Now, initially I was thinking, well, Arsenal have got a lot of games coming up as well. But then I looked at Arsenal's schedule, and that's like Burnley away on Saturday, Slavia Prague away in the Champions League, Sunderland away the following weekend. So their next three games look a hell of a lot different to ours. They have a stronger squad. They seem to be impervious to injuries, apart from Odegaard, I suppose. He's always injured now. But I think that there was a middle ground that could have been met here tonight that would have negated some of the criticism he's going to receive for actively throwing the game this evening.
Yeah, and I'm not using this as a defence, but it's not being helped by injuries. So players who you think would have been involved tonight, so like Leone, Dans, they would have both played tonight. And that changes the whole... Well, personally, the way I would view the game, I would suddenly have like a little bit of excitement, think, oh yeah, I want to see these lads, I want to see how they do. There was nothing in that I was looking at going, yeah, I'm really excited by watching these players. I mean, too soon for Morrison, we saw that, it's clearly
I thought he
too
was
soon.
Okay though. I thought he had some nice touches.
Yeah, but
this
is man's football, this is like, it's not... Yeah. It's not youth football, and
he didn't disgrace himself, though, did he?
No, but you watch him play at youth level, and he's really good. He stands out, but this is a totally different situation, and I just think too soon for him. Even Rio. I mean, we know what Rio's like, a massive talent, but can we just stop with we didn't need to sign a Diaz replacement because we didn't want to block his path? Can we stop that because he's not ready? And that's not any sort of reflection on him at all. It's a reflection on the fact he's just turned 17. What are you expecting from him? His role is like a 10-15 minute coming on and making a difference, which he does. He's good enough to do that. He's not a viable option to be starting games. Difficult in terms of the team that he was put into tonight. It's not like
he's been put in the first team. And he was against the best right back in the league, probably.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah. So it's not really a reflection on him as such, other than, let's just put it in perspective. He is not an option to be starting regularly. He just isn't, not yet. Hopefully he'll become that, because he's obviously a massive talent. But I'm not looking at that team tonight and thinking, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Whereas if Dans and Leone had been out there, I do think that makes us stronger. But you said about there's a happy medium, and yeah, I do think you could have involved a couple more of like the bigger hitters, if you like, because you've gone with Robbo and Kirkes, both of them. One of them's going to play at the weekend, so why would you not have one or two more, maybe? So yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. But he's chosen to do what he's done, and he's just got he's rolled the dice, hasn't he? And he's just got to hope that it pays off for him at the weekend.
Yeah, I think what doesn't help him either is the senior players that we did have out there tonight have been not necessarily made to feel as involved as they could be. Like Joe Gomez would, traditionally speaking, in this competition or the FA Cup or whatever Champions League game, dead rubber or something, come in and be a really reliable option for us. But we have like a demotivated, sort of uninvolved shell of a footballer in Joe Gomez, and out there tonight, who didn't rise to it. I thought he had a really poor game, like really, really poor game, to the point where you think like, well, there's no surprise he's not involved. But then you think there's no surprise he's really poor, because he's completely uninvolved and has been pretty much exiled and let know exactly what the manager thinks of him. Like, Klopp had these players involved. He had them feeling part of something. Yeah. He had them feeling motivated coming into these games that they could make a difference and help us towards silverware. And it happened on like 2 or 3 occasions. So not 2 or 3 occasions in terms of games, 2 or 3 occasions of getting through early rounds and going on to win the tournament, League Cups and the FA Cup. So I just don't think he helps himself at times with his lack of man management skills and his unpersonal nature towards people who have fucking value, and he treats them like they don't have value, and it's very fucking frustrating. And like, you know, I'm doing my best to stay on side with it. I'm not saying I want him to leave. I'm not saying it's done and it's over. You know, I'm still relatively, like you, I'm relatively hopeful that things will work out. But there are things that fucking piss me off about him, and that's one of them. Just the way he treats people. I don't like it. I think he's, you know, he needs to assign more value to the players under his fucking wing.
I agree, but he won't. And I don't know if you saw his press conference last week when he was talking about the question was about Kelleher. And he was totally right what he said. He said, generally I don't like players sitting on the bench for a long time. I think at some point, you need to move on. And he said it's different with goalkeepers. And he did sit on the bench for a good few years, but it reached a point where he's like, no, I need to play all the time. So he made that decision to leave. But he also referenced Kwanzaa and Elliott. He mentioned both of them. And I'm thinking, they were on the bench for a season, but that's partly because you didn't play them. You could have given them more minutes than you did. You chose not to do that. You won the league. That's fine. But then it's not just those players saying, I want to leave because I'm not playing. He more or less said, I think they should leave if they've been on the bench for a year. I don't think being on the bench for 2 years is helpful, and they should probably leave. So I'm like, okay, I get your logic, but is that were we going to have just this massive turnover of players now? So you don't particularly like rotating much. So all these players who are coming in for games like tonight, for example, they're going to be like demotivated, as you said about Gomez. I mean, Joe Gomez almost left on deadline day. He had offers. AC Milan wanted him. I think Brighton were in for him as well. But we couldn't sanction that deal until we knew what was happening with Gahey. So Joe Gomez is like sitting around thinking, am I leaving? Am I staying? What's happening here? And then, for all we know, maybe he was like well up for the idea of going to play for Milan. He might have been thinking, yeah, that's great. I fancy that. And then that falls through. And he's just sat on the bench for us. And then he gets thrown into cup games like this. He's probably just counting down the days till he leaves now. And it's partly what you're saying there about not making all these players feel like they're a part of it, which, I don't want to keep going on about Klopp this, Klopp that. I'm not going to do that. But the one thing that I would say is that in these cup games like this, players come in and the team, it didn't matter who was playing in these games. The team still looked like Klopp's team. They still played like that, no matter what the personnel was. Now, ironically, you can make the same argument tonight and say, yeah, they look just like the first team tonight as well. Because
we don't have another example of what a Slot team looks like yet, do we? Even that. So how would we know, really?
Yeah,
it's got no there's no identity to speak of at the moment. So,
but the point is, like, players would come in and play above themselves, because it is difficult when you're not playing many games and then you get brought in. We've seen it like down the years under other managers, just like tonight. We've had loads of those cup games where, under Rafa, where he'd just throw a team together and it would just be shit. Like, the senior players would look shit, the squad players. The youngsters would come in, they'd struggle, it just wouldn't look right. And the exception to that was how it's been, like, over, like, the last, 6-7 years, whatever, where young lads are coming in and looking great, and then you don't see them for a month until the next cup game. They come in, they look really good again. Squad players are coming in and making like a really valuable contribution, and we're not seeing that now. Partly because some of the best young players have moved on. The ones who are coming up are just not ready. I mean, I don't know what Trey Ione is. I couldn't even tell you what his strengths are. I just don't know. No. He's out there and you see him, you're like, oh yeah, Trey Ione's on the pitch. And that's it. I don't know what he is. Don't know what he's good at, what he's not good at. I just don't know. I can't get a handle on him at all because he's just not really in games. He's just there. And again, that's what I'm saying is like I just feel like it's different. Like, we're not getting those spectacular performances from kids who were just brought in and are like playing above themselves. So, I mean, a good example of it, and this is not even a criticism of Slot, because I don't think he's any different to like most managers out there in this regard. But we were badly struggling. We had no centre-backs. We were like mid-table in the league, looked like it was all falling apart. We ended up finishing third with Nat Phillips and Reece Williams playing centre-back. Nat Phillips is like a championship, like mid-table championship level. That's what his level's been since he's left. Reece Williams can't even get loans to League Two. He's gone there and not done well. And like we got third in the league with these players because you make them feel 10 feet tall. Yeah. That's not happening anymore. And again, that's not specific to Slot. That's how it is with most managers. But,
and I'll tell you something else, Dave, as well. Just on the subject of that, this massive shopping spree that we've been on this summer to buy 130 million Alexander Isak and people like that doesn't happen without Jurgen Klopp playing these young lads to the point where we can get 35 million quid for Jarell Quansah, where we can get whatever we got for Tyler Morton, Bobby Clark, what we will eventually get for Harvey Elliott. There's others on there. There's Kelleher, another one. Like, we get significant probably like if you added up all those signings, added up all the fees that we got for those players, that's what bought Isak.
Yeah, because it's all PSR profit, isn't it? The way the game's gone with you sell an academy player, it's 100% of that money goes on that year's accounts. So yeah, I mean, I actually feel like that's probably the way the club's going now, is like they just see these players as 100% PSR profit.
Not if they come into games like this and look massively out of their depth and don't show anything.
They'll loan them out though. I know what you're saying, but the best ones get loaned out, and then the ones who are left are playing in these games. Do you know what I mean? So like Ben Doak gets loaned out and then he gets sold. Quansah had a loan spell, then like he come back, played for us, but that's how they raise the value of those players, is by loaning them out and then selling them. Like Tyler Morton had a couple of loans. Tyler Morton, by the way, has been one of the best players in France this year. He was. I wrote in the diary in the summer, he's the steal of the summer. Like, people just do not realise how good Tyler Morton is, and that's not even me saying he should be playing for us and all that. Like, he's up against like top players. I understand why he wasn't getting a game. Should have got more games than he did get, but I'm not saying he should have been a regular. So I understand why like he wanted to leave, why the clubs moved him on and that. But he's a really good player, and you know, if you've got players like that when you've got these cup games, it just makes it a lot easier. But we haven't got that now. They've gone in a different direction, and you know, I don't think it's a particularly massive deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's not how I'd like to see it done.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on tonight? Like, it was one thing I didn't like about tonight. It was just like, as Anfield sort of started to empty, like, we're just getting the piss taken out of us a bit now, aren't we? Like, we're a bit sort of like, we're a bit like of a running joke to teams that are playing us. You know, you got like sacked in the morning, obviously, like why the fuck are you still, like, Palace fans singing why the fuck are you still here, which goes back to the point that some people have had to work very hard to get there in the first place, and it's a rare opportunity for them to come to Anfield and watch a game, so that's probably why they're still there. But yeah, it's just a really sort of like unbecoming night, and if we don't see anything different on Saturday, then, as you say, people are going to be more pissed off, and I'm going to be one of them. So, looking ahead to Saturday now, it's tough because Villa have really come into some form. I think they've won like 5 in a row or something in all competitions after a tough start to the season. They're looking like they are. To be fair, if we want to look at an example of a team that looked lost and have now found something again, look no further than Aston Villa, and then look no further than Manchester City, although they come unstuck again at the weekend. But like. I mean, what do you make of that? It's difficult to go into that thinking we're going to win, which is what we've known at Anfield for sort of the last decade.
Oh yeah, I've got no confidence at all. I'm not going to say that we're going to lose, but I can't tell you like I feel good about it. And yeah, we'll be fine. It's at Anfield. No, that's gone. You know, that we just lost our last home game to United in the league. So if we can lose to them, we can definitely lose to Villa. So, no, and Villa had, like, at the start of the season, it just felt like there was a real dark cloud hanging over them, with all, like, the PSR stuff over the summer and not being able to get deals they wanted done and all that, and they were complaining about it, the rules aren't fair and all that, and it just felt like they were going into the season with like a massive downer and feeling sorry for themselves. And like, I don't think they scored for 4 games or something. Harvey got their first goal of the season, didn't he, in the cup? It deflected. It might not have been deflected, actually. But yeah, he scored their first goal of the season. It was in the League Cup. But they've picked up since then. And it's a tough game for us. Really is. But then, what wouldn't be a tough game for us? Like West Ham, maybe? Other than that, Wolves, possibly. I feel like whoever else we were playing at the weekend, you'd see that and think, oh, this could be a tough game. Maybe Leeds, but I don't know. Even Leeds, like the energy that they play with, they could cause us problems. There's nothing about us at the moment to make you feel confident about beating anybody. So that's why we need to. That's what I'm saying about performance. We need to see something different. We need to see more. The performance against United was not good, but it wasn't that bad either. It wasn't a game we should have lost. But when you've got the weaknesses that we've got, like we're giving away a goal from a set piece every game, it feels like. So straight away you're almost 1-0 down because we never score from set pieces. So you're more or less going into games 1-0 down before you start because you know you're going to concede from a set piece and you're not going to score from one. So that's an issue. As well as like we're vulnerable to counter attacks. Well, Villa have got like pacey forwards to go on the break, and yeah, it's a dangerous game for us. It's there's nothing, there's no reason to feel confident about it at all. It's basically now, it's like we should not be going into games feeling confident. It's like, no, show us.
Yeah.
You show us that you can play, and then we'll believe again. But at the moment, no, we're in like prove it to us because. There's no point. Just blind faith is not going to get you anywhere.
I'm not ruling out the fact that we might find a way to win this game. I think in the early part of the season we had fortune was on our side, and in a number of games in that sort of winning run where we won the first 6 or 7 in all competitions or whatever it was. I think we were fortunate to do that, but I also think we've been kind of a little bit unfortunate in the last 4 or 5 games. You'd hope that kind of balances out a little bit, but in terms of a performance, I don't think we're going to get it because I don't really see any sort of morale in the team or anything. I don't see them sort of like. I mean, they talked about the big meeting they had after the Man United game or whatever, and then they came out and smashed Frankfurt, and then reverted back to type immediately for the game at the weekend. Yeah. Like, so I'm not expecting.
Did you see what Chiesa said about after that game?
I did, yeah, but.
Do we just
say it for the listeners?
Yeah, he just said everyone was just sitting there quietly. No one said anything after the game. They were all just... And he said, you know, I'm thinking, what can I do more? I need to do this better. I need to work harder. He was talking about what he's thinking. And he said, that's what everyone's thinking. And I'm like, is it though? Are they all thinking that? I just don't know. Don't know what they're thinking. How much is it hurting them? How much do they want to go out and fight? You know, Robbo's comments last week, just the more I think about that, the more of a red flag it is. That he feels the need that he's got to come out and just constantly reference like that we're not fighting. We've got to fight for the right to play, and you know, we've got to win second balls and all that. And I don't know. I just think that's a little bit alarming that he needs to say that.
Yeah. So in terms of the team, the back four probably picks itself. The goalkeeper is unless Woodman. Yeah. He didn't have any chance with any of the goals tonight, so
no, he's not to blame for any of them at all.
Exactly. So yeah, and then
why would you not play Mamardashvili tonight? I don't get that.
I suppose in case he gets injured, that's the only thing I can think of.
He could get injured in training though. I just think.
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
You've played Kirkes and Robbo. Not worried about them getting injured. Mache. I just find that really strange that he didn't play him. Mm-hmm. Not that it's a big deal in like the bigger picture, but it is something that I find strange. It's not a case of like you giving the backup goalkeeper the game because Woodman's third choice, so there's no agreement there that he plays cup games like you would expect with your second choice keeper. Sometimes you'll say, yeah, you're going to play in the cup games. They haven't done that with Woodman, so I don't really understand why, but you know, whatever. He'll come back in at the weekend. As you say, back four. I still think there's a chance Robbo plays, though. Just that substitution tonight makes me think, why are you bringing him off? And Oh, I tell you what, we do need to mention it. It's that fucking poor bastard who came on and got sent off again. I thought that decision was a disgrace, by the way. I don't think he touches him. I don't think he does anything. He's desperately trying not to make contact with him, and the lad just throws himself to the floor, and then the ref's either got to, if he gives a free kick, he's got to give a red card, or he's got to give nothing. As soon as he gives the free kick,
he grabbed his arm.
Not initially, and then he's not doing anything, and then he's trying to he's got both of his hands up, like trying not to touch him. I just think really unlucky. Plus, it wasn't even his fault that he got put in that situation. Someone else, I think it was the other lad, the other sub, unlucky with the pass, like it was terrible. And poor Nallo, that's like 2 games, 2 sentences off within like about he's had like 15 minutes on the pitch, something like that. But I do think he was just unlucky tonight. Yeah. I feel sorry for him there. Like,
that's a tough one. Yeah, there's always somebody. It's like golf, isn't it? There's always somebody worse on the course than you. Like he's the poorest of the poor bastards tonight. Yeah. In terms of the midfield, I don't know if is Grav going to be ready.
And Curtis, is Curtis going to be ready?
Yeah,
I would assume so.
Over those and
just because Maka played,
tonight, right?
If they had been ruled out, I don't think Maka would have played tonight. Mm-hmm. Because let's face it, he's done everything possible to not play anyone. If you throw in the game, why would you put Maka out there if he's going to play at the weekend?
I noticed he left Fede out there the whole time as well, which kind of shows you what he thinks of.
Yeah,
another example of what he really thinks of him.
And it wasn't a great night for him, but he still was like, even
around.
At the end, he was still like head up, just chasing everything, and great attitude.
So now would. Oh, hold on. When did he come on? So 67 minutes. So he got 12 minutes tonight, and I think he got 4 minutes against PSV when he got sent off. So 2 red cards, 16 minutes. Anyway. The midfield, that's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? Because we're sort of waiting to hear on 2 players who would likely start if they're fit or not. What is the deal with Curtis? Do we know?
No, I don't know. I don't think he said anything other than Curtis asked to come off. So he felt something, and hopefully whatever it was, he's caught it before it got too bad. Maybe he's felt a twinge and he's thought, don't want this to turn into a pull. So hopefully he's okay. I think he probably will be, just based on what we said there, Maka playing. I think we just got to assume that Gravenberch and Jones are going to be fit, and it's going to be them two. Well, Dom's definitely playing. I think Wirtz will be on the bench again,
Yeah. I think he might too.
I think
and
he's
then
just going to go back
Ekitike, Gakpo and Salah.
God, that front three depresses the shit out of me, Even though Hugo's been good, it's still there's just no like link up between them. It's just individual stuff. There's no partnerships building. It's just they play like strangers. There's nothing cohesive about it at all. Just horrible to watch.
Well, they've had all week to work on it anyway. You'd think he would have picked the team that he wants to play, injuries notwithstanding, like first thing Sunday morning, right? And then when they got into the AXA or whatever they call it, then they would have started working on this game fucking immediately, given what we've seen tonight. So
now the fly in the ointment is obviously the injured players. Even if they're going to be fit for the game, they might not have been fit at the start of the week, and how's that impacting the training sessions? I mean, we've got no idea what happens in those training sessions. Like, all you see on like the inside training is them doing like fucking rondos and then like shooting practice or stupid games with fucking tennis balls and stuff. So you're not seeing any, and rightly so. We shouldn't be seeing all like the tactical stuff that they're doing. That needs to be kept under wraps. And
teams have got us figured enough out as it is. Sure, in the fucking training videos.
I know, but we don't know, do we? We don't know how it's structured. How does it work? Getting your team ready when we're seeing is them doing small-sided games and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what goes into those training sessions, but they're obviously not playing 11v11 because those players who played tonight won't have been playing 11-a-side matches in training. So unless they're playing against like the under-18s or something, or maybe like we'd probably have heard if they'd have had like a behind closed doors friendly or something. But yeah, I don't know. But I just know when I see that front three, it just my heart sinks. It's like ugh. And to be fair, it doesn't change really if you put Isak in there either, because he's not shown anything yet.
No.
Like, that's not necessarily all his fault. The way we've played is not helping him, but you still, we've got to see something. But yeah, he's got discomfort, so he's not been playing.
Cool. Asswipe. Anything else you want to add? We've already gone like...
I know. I wanted to do half an hour because it's bad enough that I couldn't watch the Traitors like live, but I was going to go and watch it before I go to bed. And yeah, I wanted to keep this to half an hour. So yeah, I think we need to wrap it up so I can go and watch the Traitors. Just try and put footy out of my mind for the rest of the night.
There you go. Yeah, you'll see probably like less. You'll see more cohesiveness maybe in the Traitors. Those maybe the team can watch it as well with those little team building exercises they do and stuff. And maybe we should have some of that. Anyway,
anything's worth a try.
Yeah, that was a shit metaphor. Just trying to.
We need Jules for that, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I'm crediting something in the bank for turning up tonight anyway as well. You've kind of got to because it's your gig, but
yeah.
And I'm the only one still awake. All right. Well, you bugger off and watch the Traitors then. What do you reckon on Saturday night? Do you think you'll record when you get in? Probably takes you too long to get home on a Saturday night.
Yeah, the 10 o'clock at night. Getting back from the match is brutal these days. I won't be back before 11:30. I wouldn't have thought so.
Fucking hell. Can almost get back to Shrewsbury in that time. It's ludicrous.
And then there's the whole like we've been leaving it 24 hours after the defeat. So yeah, probably Sunday night.
All right. So expect it to land in your feeds Monday morning.
Yeah.
Dave and whoever's game will be back after the Villa game. Let's really just hope for we see something. A win would be nice. A performance would be better, but just something to lift the mood a little bit because doing these is getting kind of tiresome. If you sat through this, thanks very much. And until after Villa, we'll catch you soon.